While climbing the ladder to MMA greatness is difficult, the fall from that ladder can be even more challenging. In this episode, we'll take a look at several UFC fighters whose careers took a nosedive over the last half-decade or so. Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, let's take a look at 10 fighters who recently experienced massive career downturns. Number 10. Tony Ferguson. Since winning the 13th season of The Ultimate Fighter, Tony Ferguson has had a career worthy of Hall of Fame consideration and has become one of the most successful lightweights in the game. During his UFC run, El Cucuy put together an impressive 12-fight winning streak, which lasted from 2013 to 2020. This remarkable streak saw him defeat standouts like Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, and Kevin Lee, while capturing the interim lightweight title in the process. However, at UFC 249, Ferguson suffered his first loss in roughly 7 years when Justin Gaethje thoroughly dominated him in a shockingly one-sided affair. Unfortunately, the Gaethje setback would mark the beginning of a 3-fight skid that saw Ferguson lose to Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, respectively. To make matters worse, both Oliveira and Dariush won convincingly, winning every round on the judges' scorecards. Now 37, Tony Ferguson has looked like a shell of his former self in recent bouts, causing many fans to wonder if his days in the UFC might be numbered. Number 9. Tyron Woodley. Those who only know him from his recent bouts with Jake Paul may not realize that the chosen one, Tyron Woodley, was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world not all that long ago. The heavy-handed wrestler has wins over greats like Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, and Stephen Thompson. Of course, Woodley is also a former UFC welterweight champion who enjoyed 3 successful title defenses. Unfortunately, the chosen one's reign ended when he was ragdolled by Kamaru Usman at UFC 235. After losing the title in dominant fashion, Woodley simply couldn't recapture the magic. Following the setback, Woodley would lose to a murderer's row of competitors in his next 3 fights. Still, despite facing stiff competition in the losses, it was clear that Woodley was no longer the same fighter. As a result of the 4-fight skid, the UFC opted not to re-sign Woodley once his contract expired in 2021. Sadly, Woodley's post-fight UFC career hasn't gone particularly well. This past December, the former MMA star was knocked out cold in a boxing match with YouTube sensation Jake Paul. Number 8. Kevin Lee. With an impressive college wrestling pedigree, slick striking, and next-level athleticism, the Motown phenom Kevin Lee had all the makings of a future UFC champion. In truth, Lee's UFC tenure got off to a very nice start. The Detroit native won 9 of his first 11 bouts, which led to a showdown with Tony Ferguson for the interim lightweight title back in 2017. Despite losing to Ferguson, the Motown phenom was only 25, so the future still looked bright for the young lightweight star. However, things never really got back on track following UFC 216. While Lee picked up a nice rebound win over Edson Barbosa, he would lose 4 of his next 5 contests while bouncing around from lightweight to welterweight. Finally, after his most recent loss to Daniel Rodriguez last August, the UFC decided to release the former title challenger. Still only 29, Kevin Lee recently signed with Khabib Nurmagomedov's upstart promotion Eagle FC, where he hopes to revitalize his career. Number 7. Cody Garbrandt. At UFC 207, an undefeated young fighter named Cody "No Love" Garbrandt outstruck Dominic Cruz with a performance for the ages, becoming the UFC bantamweight champion in the process. Given the skills he showcased during the Cruz fight, Garbrandt looked poised for a lengthy title reign, with a good chance of becoming one of the promotion's top stars. Of course, his rival and former teammate TJ Dillashaw threw a significant wrench in those plans, knocking out No Love at UFC 217 in what would have been his first title defense. Sadly, the Dillashaw loss would mark the beginning of one of the most surprising career spirals in recent memory. After losing his title, Garbrandt would come up short in 4 of his next 5 bouts, 3 of which he lost via knockout. In his most recent contest, the former bantamweight king moved down to flyweight. However, the switch didn't pay off, as Garbrandt was put away in the first round by Kai Kara-France. At 30 years of age, No Love still has time to right the ship, but things are clearly trending in the wrong direction. Number 6. Darren Till. Liverpool's Darren Till is a talented striker with an equally impressive social media game. The popular Englishman's MMA career got off to a scorching hot start, with Till remaining undefeated through his first 18 professional bouts. During this 18-fight run, the Gorilla picked up signature wins over Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone and Stephen "Wonderboy" Thompson. These victories led to a welterweight title match with the chosen one Tyron Woodley at UFC 228. During the fight, Woodley exposed holes in the challenger's ground game and picked up a submission win in the second round. It would be Till's first pro loss and the beginning of a rough patch. In what was supposed to be a rebound fight for Till at UFC Fight Night 147, he would face veteran Jorge Masvidal coming off a long layoff. To the surprise of many, it was Gamebred who took his first step towards superstardom by scoring a highlight reel knockout. From there, the 29-year-old Brit would go on to lose 2 of his next 3 fights, suffering losses to Robert Whittaker and Derek Brunson. In total, Till has gone 1-4 since 2018, with his sole win coming against Kelvin Gastelum in a razor-close split decision. As of now, Till joins our list of relatively young fighters who find themselves at a career crossroads. Number 5. Chris Weidman. After winning his first 5 fights inside the octagon, the All-American Chris Weidman earned his shot at the legendary Anderson Silva and the UFC middleweight title. At UFC 162, the undefeated wrestler shocked the world by ending Silva's 17-fight undefeated streak and becoming the new middleweight king. From there, Weidman would successfully defend his title against future Hall of Famers like Lyoto Machida and Vitor Belfort before ultimately dropping the strap to Luke Rockhold in December of 2015. Sadly, after losing the gold, the All-American's career has yet to get back on track. The latter portion of Weidman's UFC tenure has been hampered by injuries, long layoffs, and losses. In fact, he won just 2 of his last 8 contests and hasn't looked like the same guy who dethroned Anderson Silva in 2013. Since losing the title, Weidman has also suffered brutal knockout losses to fighters like Yoel Romero, Jacare Souza, and Dominic Reyes. In his latest fight with Uriah Hall, Weidman tragically suffered a horrific leg injury, resulting in another lengthy absence from the cage. Number 4. Conor McGregor. There's no denying that Conor McGregor is the biggest star the sport of mixed martial arts has ever seen. Of course, it's equally difficult to deny that wins are becoming increasingly difficult to come by for the outspoken Irishman. In 2016, McGregor made history by defeating Eddie Alvarez to become a 2-division champion. However, since that time, he's only secured 1 win inside the octagon against an aging Donald Cowboy Cerrone, compared to 3 losses. Sure, those losses came against elite competition in the form of Khabib Nurmagomedov and Dustin Poirier. Still, the showings made it clear that the notorious one is no longer among the pound-for-pound best. Worse still, following his most recent setback at UFC 264, the former double champ suffered a gruesome leg injury that will have him sidelined for some time. On a positive note, despite winning only 1 fight in the last 5 years, Conor McGregor still remains the sport's biggest box office draw. Number 3. James Vick. James the Texecutioner Vick's UFC run reminds us how quickly the tide can turn in high-level mixed martial arts. As a former Ultimate Fighter contestant, the 6'3" lightweight won 9 of his first 10 UFC fights and was sporting an outstanding overall record of 13-1. His success had the Texan on the verge of title contention, with pundits even calling him a divisional dark horse. Of course, all of that changed at UFC Fight Night 135 when Vick suffered a first-round KO loss to Justin Gaethje. From there, his jaw just couldn't seem to hold up. Unfortunately, he would lose his next 3 bouts, 2 of which came via knockout. Following a 4-fight losing streak, James Vick went from being a fringe title contender to being released by the UFC in a little over a year. Number 2. Donald Cerrone. Donald Cowboy Cerrone is an MMA legend who currently holds the record for most wins in UFC history, with 23 to his credit. He also has made the second most appearances in the octagon with 37. That said, it's becoming increasingly apparent that the wear and tear of a lengthy career is catching up with the future Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, Cerrone has been winless over the course of his last 6 UFC appearances. His most recent victory came back in May of 2019, when he defeated Al Iaquinta at UFC Fight Night 151. Since then, Cerrone has gone 0-6 and suffered knockout losses to the likes of Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor, and Alex Morano. Sure, the Colorado native has persevered through a lengthy losing streak in the past, but at 38 years of age, one has to wonder if Cowboy's last rodeo in the octagon will be sooner rather than later. Number 1. Frankie Edgar. New Jersey's own Frankie "The Answer" Edgar has a resume chocked full of victories over some of the sport's best. The former lightweight champion has wins over stars like BJ Penn, Uriah Faber, and Charles Oliveira. Still, as with most athletes, age has not been particularly kind to the former title holder. Now 40, Edgar has lost 5 of his last 7 bouts, with 4 of those coming by way of knockout, which is especially shocking considering how durable his chin has been in the past. Worse still, Edgar was on the receiving end of 2021's KO of the Year, courtesy of Corey Sanhagen. Though Edgar's legacy as an all-time great is secure, his days as a title contender appear to be behind him. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.